Well guys, bit of a disappointing week. Well, even the last 2 weeks. Truck developed this squealing noise quite a while back. If you look way back, I lost oil pressure one time for kind of an unknown reason. I gave the engine an ATF soak and fired it up a few days later, and it come back around. I assumed that the plunger stuck in the pump. So anyway, it's got this squealing noise, sounds like an alternator belt. And I thought it was an alternator belt for the longest time, so I kind of neglected it. So when it's cold, it doesn't do it. And sounds healthy. Runs good. No big knocking noises or anything. As this thing warms up, might take a minute or two here, but starts making this just squeak, 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 like an alternator belt. Like I said, I thought it was for the longest time. Those of you guys following the videos, me and Jakey crashed the Sea-Doos there at the end of the season. I split my hull. Luckily nobody got hurt, but we got her glassed up. She's still back in action. So what I did to just kind of rule out some of the things that might be wrong, we took the belts completely off the engine, run it, and it still did it. When you get underneath the truck, the noise appears to be coming out of the bell housing area. Even like I took a listening stick and went over the engine top and bottom, and the noise really sounded like it was coming out of the bell housing area. So the following day after that inspection, we put it in the shop, we pulled the starter, pulled the splash pan off, did a visual inspection. There's nothing grinding, nothing hitting to cause this squeaking noise. And so we unhooked the flex plate bolts from the torque converter to unfasten the motor from the transmission, and nothing felt funny in the transmission. The torque converter rolled fine, the pump feels fine or whatever, nothing's binding. We put a wrench on the engine, and generally I don't try to turn over a V8 engine with a 1/2-inch ratchet, but when we did so, there seemed to be a bit of a tight spot into it, in the motor. So I got a longer bar out, because again, rolling a big V8 with a 1/2-inch ratchet isn't really ideal. With the bigger bar, I couldn't really feel anything binding, but as I rolled the motor over, I'm assuming we didn't have the plugs out to check, but I rolled the motor a bit and then I back rolled it. I rolled the motor a bit and I back rolled it, and I got to a point where I got a bit of a nasty clunk out of it, which sounds to me like cylinder 8, cylinder 6, driver's side. And again, if you guys are following this page or whatever, my channel, I mean, I've been beating on this thing and nothing seems to be letting go. It doesn't seem to be affecting performance. But I'm a person that generally doesn't have very good luck. And I know something's wrong internally, so I got to deal with it. Hopefully it'll start doing it here. It should be just about warmed up and she'll start doing her thing. And I also noticed too, I've got good oil pressure. I'm running the T6 Rotella, which is a bit thicker than what this calls for, but once this thing warms up, that oil pressure gauge isn't really ideal. It's not down down in scary zone, but I think it should be better, considering this swap doesn't have a whole bunch of miles onto it here. Let's see. So there's 187,019 on the clock. It'll soon start. It's just trying to make a liar out of me. Now that it's warm though, I mean, this is a big engine, but there is a slight knock there. Very, very slight, but it's there. And as you can tell, like, all the belts are hooked up right now, nothing's squealing. So another thing I did, I read some forums. You know, you do all that stuff when you're in a bit of a pickle. You really don't know till you tear the thing apart. But what I did was, I had the top end apart, I had the intake off, I did a visual inspection of the camshaft, because I mean, that's the only thing I played with in this motor. Other than that, it's been on touch. So I thought maybe, you know, bad luck might have pushed a cam bearing out, something foolish like that. But the cam looks great. My roller rockers look great. Everything's tight there. It was tight as I was rolling it. The cam isn't moving at all other than rotation. So that's a rule out. This is trying real. It's a bit of a cool day today. It's only like 18 degrees Celsius. Hauling the trailer on like 25-degree days, it's prone to do it. But once it starts and once the motor's warm, it does it permanently. It does not go away. It's just squeak, 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 squeak. Try to speed this process up here a little bit. Like, once it starts, it's literally so bad you can't even place an order in a drive-thru without shutting it down. Once I get that temperature gauge up there to halfway, you'll hear it, trust me. She's trying hard, boys and girls. Maybe I'll take her for a drive and we'll come back to this. Alright guys, we finally got her happening here. You see this oil pressure? Like I said, not scary, but definitely not ideal. It's sitting at, you know, a quarter, or one of those little hairs just past a quarter. But now when you get out of the vehicle, now I did just start it because this is the first startup of the day. You hear that? You hear that little birdie chirping? Now, it just started, so I'll let it sit here and run for a bit yet, but this is this aggravating chirping noise that I'm talking about. And from what I've read on the internet, it looks like a lot of other guys have had this problem. Most of the forums lead you to nowhere, so, you know, what do you do but make a video onto it? Like I say, she sounds healthy, right? But this chirping is just driving me. And I mean driving me. I'm sure if you watch the mud videos and stuff, she's been doing it for a while. And if you get underneath that noise is coming right out of the torque converter. So, again, I unhooked the transmission, the bell housing, so it's not in the transmission, just if you use a listen stick. In my case, that's the trouble. And as you can see, it's quite loud. And it's just starting. I mean, as you drive the truck, it doesn't get a whole bunch louder, but it goes with the speed of the engine, but if I rev it up, it will go away. Not a crazy loud noise, but I don't like any noise inside of an engine, and you know goddamn well something's eating something in there. But yeah, definitely, you know, if you're gonna comment on the video, don't tell me to check my alternator belt and all that stuff, because I've been far deeper than that. And we are gonna do an investigation once I get this thing out. I ordered another engine. My cam and everything's fine, so she's still gonna tear paper. Pretty much the cheapest alternative in my situation here in Canada. I'd love to order all them Radar goodies and do it properly, but just not feasible here in Canada with our dollar amount and our stupid 15% tax on whatever you spend after they transfer it to Canadian dollars. It's just crazy. So yeah, any of you GMC guys that got the squealing chirping noise, I will say one fella found that he had a roller lifter that had some damage occur, which when he opened it up on the top end, he could see the damage on his camshaft. So again, I was over that, done that. My camshaft looks great from what I can see. So yeah, it's inside. It sounds like a wrist pin bearing or a rod bearing, but I don't like making assumptions till I tear it apart. So when we get it apart, we'll show you what it looks like, and might even show you some of the process of putting the new hard in, depending if I'm working or not. Definitely an annoying noise.